Hello guys and girls listening to this is Rija and today we're gonna check a new subreddit which I think you are gonna love. The name of the subreddit is ProRevenge. So, as the name of the subreddit implies, it's all about good revenges, people getting back at other people that did something wrong to them. So without further ado, let's start. You Set the Price, that's the name of this story, let's check it out. So, I was an intern at a small startup during my education. When I initially got hired, they promised me that we could renegotiate my salary after 6 months. I gave it my all because I found the job interesting and challenging, and my bosses left me alone to work on large projects like making an automated shelving system for a factory, etc. No guidance or nothing. We moved to a new office and I put in extra hours painting the office, epoxying the factory floors, and because of my interest in hardware I made all network, print server, etc. During my first 6 months I was paid around $12 an hour, normal student rates here. But I knew my boss was charging $70 an hour for my time to our customers. Went up to $150 in my last year there. But now I had been there for 6 months, some days completely alone, having to tend for everything in the company. But despite all my hard work and extra hours, I was told they felt I was paid what they thought it was worth, which apparently was about 15% of what they charged others for my time. This was of course a bit of a slap to the face, and being I was in the middle of my education and under contract, I couldn't just leave. So for the rest of my time there I had to sit there for $12 an hour, knowing they pocketed about $50 an hour on my work, treating me like crap and doing absolutely nothing to teach me anything, which was part of their responsibility to me as a student. I got through my time as a student and quit the company as soon as my contract was out, and never looked back. A few months after I had quit, I received a phone call from my old boss, and the conversation went something like this.
Hi, this is your asshole old boss. We are having some network issues. Would you mind coming to fix it for us since you are the only one without the codes?
Sure, I'll only charge you $115 an hour since that's the price you set for my time already.
But that's way too much.
Sound of steam coming from his ears. That's the price you charged for my time, while you told me it was worth only $12, and just for telling me it's too much, my rate just doubled.
But you're the one that has all the codes. You can do that, we can't get into the system.
Yeah, good luck with that. Click. Best feeling ever. Bully me and then ask me for help with the test coming up. I have a reputation for being able to explain things well at school. Because of my reputation, classmates often come to me for extra help on their work. I always help because I enjoy helping people. I got bullied by one of my classmates and I told him I didn't enjoy how he treated me, but he still continued. A geometry test was coming up and he asked me for my help, after he bullied me for over a month straight.
Can you please help me with the geometry test coming up? I haven't prepared and the teacher isn't helping.
You realize you have been bullying me for over a month.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but please help me.
Fine, if you stop bullying me afterwards. I first believed him, but then a friend came up to me and told me that he said that he had no intention of stopping even if I helped him. So I gave him the wrong information for the test. Instead of teaching him the correct Pythagorean theorem, I made up some random stuff and he bought it. Same for sin and cos and tan. He was acting really nice, but after the test he went straight back to treating me like dirt. Test results came in and he got a 2.4 out of 10. He flips at me saying I gave him the wrong explanation. I just say that he probably didn't follow my instructions correctly. Now the class thinks he's a dumbass and he leaves me alone. But then if he leaves you alone, doesn't it mean that he really stopped bullying you? Also, I have a quick fun story similar to this one, but not quite the same. So there was this guy in my class and he was super smart. He was a good friend of mine. Well, he is a very good friend of mine still. And he was super smart, and what he did is like we tried to copy from him, but what he will do is like he will let us copy the exam or the test, and then he will like erase the answers and put their real answers. So if you copied from him, like sometimes you will get like a 7 or 6 or something and he will get a 10, and then you will be like, hey, why did I get a 6 and you got a 10? And then he used to say some random excuse like, oh, it's because I remember the correct answer to the exam after you had finished and gave it to the professor or something like that. I left my cheating ex-girlfriend homeless. I ghosted a cheating ex once and it was extremely satisfying. When I was about 30, I was 6 months into a really good committed relationship with a woman in her late 20s. She was a reporter with the local newspaper. Really smart, awesome girlfriend. She became pregnant, moved in with me, and 9 months later we had my son. Immediately after giving birth, she went crazy. I'd forced her to see a psychiatrist, and we found out she was suffering from postpartum psychosis and bipolarism from her screwed up hormones. Her psychiatrist was working with her obgyn to try to get her hormones straightened out, but like a lot of people with mental health issues, she refused to take her medication. I had to hire a nanny to babysit this crazy and keep her from hurting my son or setting the house on fire. She had the mentality of a 13-year-old Kardashian, and all she wanted to do was party and do. She drained my bank account and maxed out my credit card. After 8 months in hell, I had reached my limit and decided to take her to court and sue for full custody. Luckily, we were not married. I looked for advice from a few friends who had been through bad divorces, and one of them said I should get a DNA test before going to court. I asked why, and he said that his cousin had witnessed something, but didn't want to get involved without knowing if the kid was mine or not. It turns out that just before getting pregnant, went on a drunken bar hopping bachelorette weekend with her girlfriends. My girlfriend ran into an ex-boyfriend at one of the bars in the bathroom and then went back to partying. So I secretly took my son in for a paternity test, and 4 months later I got the results. I was not the father. I cried on and off for days, just barely holding it together so she would not become suspicious, and after a few days I realized that I didn't owe that anything. It was a lucky coincidence that my girlfriend, her family, and my son were going out of town for a few days to a family reunion. My girlfriend's parents lived nearby, and I knew where they hid a spare key. So after they left, I packed up all her and the kids' stuff in garbage bags and left it all in her parents' living room. I also left a copy of the DNA test and a long letter explaining how she cheated on me and all the crazy she had done in the last year. I was renting a nice house in a nice neighborhood, and a friend was always telling me he wanted first dibs on my place if I ever moved. I called him and he jumped at the chance to take over my lease. I told my landlord my story and she was okay with my friend moving in. Yes, this was illegal, but my landlord was an ignorant country who didn't know the law and was just renting out her dead grandparents' house. I packed all my stuff in a U-Haul, quit my job that I hated, and left. Her parents and family lived in town and I knew that she would be taken care of. I found better work in another state and never looked back. I told my friend that he needed to change the locks as soon as possible because my girlfriend was going to freak out when she came back. I also asked my friend to tell my now ex-girlfriend that I had simply moved into an apartment across town, not that I had left the state. I didn't want her chasing me. Everything else I heard from friends after I left. So, a few days later, my ex comes home and can't get in the door and flips out when my friend opens it, but won't let her in. She calls the cops and is in the process of raising hell and yelling at the police when her mom calls her and tells her that all of her stuff is on the living room floor and she needs to go there right now. My friend said it was like watching an episode of Jerry Springer. Now, I was fine leaving it at that and keeping in between us, but a few days later our friends started calling me asking what had happened and that my ex was stalking me all over town and saying that I had abandoned them on the streets and she had to move back in with her parents. So I told everyone what she had done and they were like, what a. So for the next 2 weeks I got emails from my ex telling me that I'm a bastard for abandoning them and I need to man up and take care of my responsibilities, never acknowledging that she cheated on me and got pregnant by another man. Psycho. The word of what she did got out and she sent me emails telling me that I was an asshole, I ruined her reputation and she was humiliated. The whole time she thought that I was still living and working nearby. She sent me hate mail for 6 months before she realized that I was in another state. Her parent took care of the kid and she eventually found some loser sugar daddy to take care of her. Edit. Yes, my landlord and I were very lucky that we didn't get sued. Louisiana law is very old-fashioned and if I had married her, I would be responsible for the kid no matter what the DNA test said. About 6 months after I left, she found the biological father, her ex-boyfriend. He had a DNA test done and he took responsibility, had his name put on the birth certificate and eventually got full custody of the boy. He was raised by his real dad and his family. All is well. My ex turned into a who jumped from guy to guy, whoever will give her a place to stay. So guys and girls listening, what do you think of this? Because let's go back to the story. The girlfriend, by the looks of it, had mental health issues and 8 months later I think he had no money left. Like the girl had used all his money. But remember that he didn't know at the time that the boy wasn't his biological son. So the only problem he had is that she was basically spending all of his money on, stuff, like she didn't want to take the medications. So what would you have done in this guy's place? Because it's a difficult question, it's a difficult subject. Like, I'm not judging, of course. I don't know how stressful it can be to have to, like, support someone with mental health. And even if he, at the time, he loved her, apparently, like, let's go back to the first part of the post. He said that he was in a very committed relationship, and then after they got married, like, she went crazy. So in my opinion, this is a very sad story. And yeah, because imagine, like, if she hadn't gone crazy, maybe at some point he will have, like, found out that it wasn't, the kid wasn't his real biological son. I don't know. But basically what I'm trying to say is, I would like to hear your opinion about this. Have you ever taken care of someone with mental health issues, and how is it? Like, is it super, I mean, I imagine it's super hard, but I would love to hear your experiences, so please, write them in the comments. Girls and guys, I would love to hear your comments about this subreddit community. Also, comment on what subreddit I should do next. As always, a like, comment and share is greatly appreciated. And please subscribe if you like the content. Bye!